Greetings and salutations, and welcome back to Diablo 2. Now, I know what you're thinking, but Quiz, this is technically Friday. Where's Free Game Friday? Bit of a story behind that. So, the Free Game Friday for this week will be for the next day, as in, like, if I can record it, um, it will be for either Saturday or Sunday. And I know that sounds weird because then it's no longer Free Game Friday, but there's an issue with it. And it's not the game itself that's the issue. It's the other thing that's the issue. Wait, do I have to check under the heart for this? Or drive me onto the heart? Do I have to? It's under the cross bazaar. Yeah, okay. So I have to go to the sewers. So the problem that has occurred is Epic's Game Store has had an aneurysm, effectively. And what I mean by that is it's it's currently unusable. So I sat there and I was watching the countdown timer on the thing where it's like, yes, your game will be, the free game coming up is going to be at X amount of time, and it's it counted down the little minutes and everything. So I just sat there patiently, and then I refreshed it, and the free game popped up, and it wasn't free when I went into the store. It still said that the game costs money, and I'm like, well, okay, maybe they haven't updated their store. All right, I'll give them some time. So I've been sitting here for probably a half hour or so. Brought it up. Hey, look, it's free. It's actually discounted to $0. How about that? So I hit the get button to get the game for nothing. And it couldn't connect to their services. And so I waited another 10 minutes. And I hit the get button. And it gave me error 500. And so I'm sitting here and I'm like, you know what? I would normally make Free Game Friday, but Epic Stores for the first time in my recent memory has now just jumped on the struggle bus, and it's struggling. It's struggling, and as you can see, I did fix my camera, much to the chagrin of many people. I'm sure, because believe me, I own a mirror, and if I have to look at this for 45 minutes a day, I'd be upset too. Now. And there's gonna be comments full of, why does he say that about himself? Yeah, well, I say that about myself because, well, self-deprecating humor usually gets a cheap laugh, and if it doesn't, those people are sitting there, usually the ones that are trying to be pseudo-therapists, thinking that I need to have a higher self-esteem, and my self-esteem is plenty high, believe me. Like, I wake up every day believing that I'm a success. Okay? That I've succeeded at life. But back to Epic Game Store. We're not going philosophical today. So Epic Game Store is just struggling right now. So I don't know when it will be back up and when it will be available. But until such point, I'm gonna record this, and I'm gonna record another game. Now I don't know which one I'm putting up for Friday. I think it's going to be the other game, and this one's going to go up Saturday. I'm kind of settling on that. Though I am recording this one first, to be fair. The reason I'm recording this one first is just, I looked back at my play history, and I haven't really, I noticed I haven't really done it in, like, greater than a week, and I thought, you know what, it's time to revisit that, and maybe get the Paladin out of Act 3, using Sacrifice, which... Here, let me take my hat off. My hair is probably a wreck, but whatever. There. Been wearing my hat pretty much all day. But no, I sat there and I looked at it, I was like, I need to get the Paladin out of Act 3 while using Sacrifice. I wonder if I can actually kill Mephisto. And I figured I was getting close to done with it. So if I think I'm gonna try to either make to the Durance of Hate or all the way to Mephisto and get to Act 4. I'm gonna see. It's definitely gonna be a hit or miss. I mean, because I'm either gonna make it or I'm not. To be fair, because I don't want to record for more than an hour, obviously. The other game. Oh, by the way, I didn't tell you what the free game was. The free game, and this has absolutely nothing to do with my hesitancy of recording. Nothing to do whatsoever. The free game this week, which went free right now on the 11th, it'll be a free from the 11th to the 18th, is Hogwarts Legacy. I've got nothing against Hogwarts Legacy as a game. I've got nothing against J.K. Rowling as a... Well, I've got one thing against J.K. Rowling as an author. And that is the way she started the first book sucked absolute trash bag. Like, it was terrible. She started out the first book with, like, talking about Privet Drive. Completely lost me as a reader. I was like, nope. Not interested. I don't need to have the, you telling me the glow of the amber lamps that are there. No, I don't need that. I don't care about the setting that much. How she should have started the book, for my tastes, was you started out with Avada Kedavra and the spell goes out and 2 people are now struck dead, but the child still remains. The shadowy figure escapes through the window, etc. That would have been you. That would have made you go, okay, why did these 2 people just get domed with a magic spell? Why is the kid still alive, and who was the shadowy figure? You'd want to read on because you're just bombarded with information at this point. And you're basically going into, like, information overload, and you're just kind of sitting there like, whoa. That's my only issue with her, with the way she wrote things. Other than that, I don't care. She can say or do whatever she wants. She's got the ability to do so. Means nothing to me. I generally, when it comes to celebrities and their opinions, I'm non-interventionalist. Because it's like, look, they're going to have an opinion, they're going to say stuff you may not agree with, whatever. Wake up the next morning, put your pants on, and deal with it, right? That's the way I look at it. So, oh, that's not good. That's all sorts of bad. Can my mercenary respawn up here, please? Please. His prayer aura is kind of integral to survival. As I can't leech life off of skeletons. But no, there's a bunch of people that went all like, oh, she's a terrible whatever, blah, 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 blah. I mean, I went on to have multiple issues with, like, things in the movies and whatnot. Personally, it's because it logically didn't make sense. For example, I'm pretty sure everybody's watched Harry Potter by now. Why Voldemort didn't go and turn, like, a beloved pet rock into a Horcrux and then heave it into a gravel pit is beyond me. I mean, oh, my Merc is dead. No wonder. I was waiting for his aura that never showed. I did not know he was dead. I thought I had accidentally hit the key and made the little display up there go away. Anyway, I always thought that he should have done that. Like, Voldemort should have hidden, should have, like, had an object be near and dear to him and have that object be, like, an everyday object. Like, if you're going to be a supervillain and your weakness is an object or objects near and dear to you, make them an object or objects that are found literally everywhere. Like, get really attached to a paperclip, call it, like, Clippy from the old Microsoft era, and then just leave it in an Office Max. Good luck. Oh, there's a Horcrux here. Okay, where is it? Well, it says it's here in the paperclips. Which one? Well, I don't know. Figure it out. You have to smash each one. It'd take a long time. You'd be immortal effectively. But no, that was my only issue with it. And I know that a lot of other people have issues with Hogwarts Legacy. Whatever. You know, you want to have an issue with it? Have an issue with it. Not my monkeys, not my circus. Right? I'm not the ringmaster. I'm not the master of ceremonies. Ow. That's painful. Alright, I'll flank you over here and I'll kill you. And then I'll flank you and kill you. And he finally bit the dust. Nice. Hey, he did his job. I gotta give him, you know, I gotta commend him. Job well done. Well played, sir. You died doing what you loved. Okay, well, I don't know if he loved doing it, but he died. But that's the thing. Like, there's so many people get caught up in, like, the politics of things. The politics of... It's kind of weird, because they'll get caught up in the politics of a fictional character in a book. But they won't get caught up in the politics of politics. And how to usurp power constitutionally from people that aren't using it. It's written right there in your founding documents, folks. Just read them. But they won't do that. They won't get engaged there, but they'll get engaged in, like, juicy star drama and other nonsensical stuff. And I kind of look at it like, almost like, what am I looking at here? You know, I get that puzzled, bewildered look on my face. Kind of like the Tucker Carlson stare after he asks a question that he thinks everyone should know the answer to, but they don't really have an answer to it, or their answer is completely inane. And he gives him the whole kind of... this kind of baffled look on his face. That look. That's the look I get when people start talking about, like, you know, drama between celebrities or whatever. I just means nothing to me. But it's kind of weird because the other game I want to show is a game right now that's in, I would say, a beta. It's more like an alpha/beta. There is no NDA on it, so I can record it. Well, I can't say there's no NDA on it. There was one, and it got lifted before I managed to get the code. And I managed to get the code from my brother, who bought a Founders Pack, because he got the chance to sit down and try it, and he loved the game so much that he bought a Founders Pack to dole out codes, and he was benevolent enough to give me one of them. So, my brother gave me a code for this game, and I inputted it, and now I can play it. It's kind of... it's interesting, I'll just say that. And I'll leave it at that, because I want there to be some mystique and surprise. But that one will definitely be uploaded before this one goes up. That being said, recently I've noticed that there's a lot of magic in a lot of games. Like with Where Winds Meet, they do have, I guess they're called like arcane arts or whatever in Where Winds Meet. But there's those. As much as people kind of were mocking Brown Dust 2 for what it was, it's kind of almost like a Final Fantasy game, and you get down to the bones of it all. Your characters level up, they get new abilities, they get special attacks, that kind of thing, and you can upgrade them, and you can upgrade their armor. So it's kind of like Final Fantasy, because they're in a formation, and your characters take turn-based attacks, except you get your whole turn, and then the opponent gets their whole turn. But there's unit collision too, so if you get pushed back from one unit into another unit, it's kind of cool. The detracting part about Brown Dust 2 is that your bog standard terrible... no, I can't say terrible. It's your bog standard gacha game. So obviously there's going to be a lot of gacha mechanics, which depending on how it's done, aren't egregious, right? Like, for example, Uma Musume, which every single time I say that now, all I can see is Uma Thurman, and then I can see where James May, man from Top Gear, doesn't like Uma Thurman because her hands are too big. You can actually look up, the clip where James May's just like, "Hi, I'm Uma," you know. So that clip's on YouTube. Anybody can find that clip, but that's what it reminds me of every single time I say Uma Musume. But Uma Musume is, as a game, is not that predatory when it comes to the gacha mechanics. They're very lax about it, and they're very giving. Like, the company that runs it gives out a lot of stuff for free or for nothing, and it's usually linked to like the anime or it's linked to something else. But it has your typical tropes in it, you know, usually busty anime girls. Which, hey, if that's your thing, that's your thing. And the reason, like, I people in my family, not my brother, because my brother played it. My brother tried very desperately to get me to play it, and I was like, you know what, fine, just to shut him up, I'll play it. I might as well my older brother. And I sat down and I played it, and I thought, you know what, it's not bad. And then I realized that what's so good about Uma Musume as a game is the fact of the legacies carry on, so you can progressively make your trainees better and better the more you play it. So there is a sense of progression that you can't really purchase, because you have to get the trainees to get that random inspiration to then carry that on. That's all granted at random. That cannot be purchased, that cannot be bought. The only thing that people that purchase get it is that it's more like a buy to have a head start, or pay for a head start, because they get more powerful cards which go into the Uma Musume's, go into your Uma's deck, and the deck of cards grants certain hints for abilities. And those are the only people that really, they get a small benefit, small boost in that direction. Other than that, it's, if you work at it and play it just once a day and just do your dailies, in no time you are quite literally on par with the people that are basically swiping their plastic for it, essentially. Like, there's very little difference between the two. However, this game, the Brown Dust 2, feels kind of like that in the sense that it's, the gacha mechanic in it does not feel predatory. It's kind of very lenient, but it is a gacha game, and that's a big detractor. It again has a selling point for a lot of people of busty anime girls, which to me that should not be a selling point to a game. It's kind of like icing on a cake, right? So you get it, you buy a cake from a store and it has no icing, it's just default cake, right? You sit there and you look at the default cake and you think to yourself, okay, well, I could buy a can of frosting and throw some frosting on it. Okay, there we go. Or you could just let it dry out and then use it as like a makeshift cereal, which is really good, by the way. If you get a chocolate cake, let it dry out, get really, stale, so that the moisture's gone out of it. Or you can even bake it to get the moisture to come out of it a little bit. Like, crumble it up and then bake it so the moisture comes out. And then use it with milk. It's delicious. But I digress. That's like the cake without the frosting, right? And busty anime girls in it is like putting a layer of frosting on the cake. Is it necessary? No. But does it inspire certain demographics to buy into the game? Yeah, absolutely. It inspires certain demographics to play the game. And it's not just guys. There's a lot of women out there that play it too, I'm sure. Because there's a lot of women out there that cosplay, and they use these things as cosplay fuel. So it's picked up by a lot of people, and sometimes when they do like a holiday set, they'll put up a holiday set and people will want to get it so they can turn it around, look at it, and cosplay as it. more common than you'd think. But nevertheless, like I said, it's not a necessary feature, but it's what I would say is more of an advanced selling point. Is, you know, it's going to push sales because people see it and they're going to want to get it for that reason. Me, there's got to be some meat on the bone. There's got to be substance to it. You know, because we're talking about somebody that was born and raised with games that I played text-based games that have more heart and soul to them than some of the more modern games, even like Elden Ring. I played a text-based game ages ago on a bulletin board, and the game was called Legend of Red Dragon. Lord for short. And that game was absolutely fantastic. You had very few graphics because the graphics they had to use all had to be generated out of texts and had to be generated out of text and characters. So like @ symbols and other things like that. And when it generated those texts, it was just an image. And then it would switch over to you are in the forest or whatever. What do you do? Search for a fight, etc. It was a very text-based game. Absolutely wonderful. And just one of the best times of all time. That game had more heart in it than Elden Ring, in my opinion. So this era of games where graphics are a selling point seems kind of almost forced. Almost like they're doing it as a pushback over the past 5 years of how things became political. And so they're doing it as a direct pushback, which you want to do that, fine. You want to have that little direct pushback, you can. That's purely up to the developers. But like I said, it is a selling point for some people. But the selling point to me is, are the mechanics good? Brown Dust 2 has good mechanics. It feels like you're playing a Final Fantasy spin-off. It's quite good. And the character progression, I haven't even delved into the whole building of equipment and getting more equipment. Though you can find equipment through treasure chests that are hidden. And you have to use the main character's search ability to find these hidden treasure chests and everything. So, there is depth there. Nevertheless, kind of a fun game. I've been dabbling with it every now and again. But it's a gacha game. It's free to play, and it's like, well, of course they have to make money somehow, so. Gacha mechanics. And I try to give it a fair shake. But there's another game, there's another game that I got, like I said, I got codes to, and I'm really, really interested in playing on camera, and I will be as soon as I'm done with this. Poison's not going to go away, is it? It just did, but it wasn't. It was going to stick around. But I've noticed that magic is in a lot of games lately. Where Winds Meet had Arcane Arts. The one game I'm going to be playing has magic in it. And the Hogwarts Legacy, of course, is going to have magic in it. It's kind of cool because, I mean, like, one of the things they should do in Hogwarts Legacy is, or at least they should have done, is they should have had the ability to make your character become a squib. A failure at magic. Somebody that basically fails out and bombs out. That would have made sense, right? It happens in the movies. It happens, I presume it happens in the books. I didn't actually read the books because, like I said, they lost me as a reader the moment they started blithering about Privet Drive. But you'd figure having that in the books would be kind of pertinent. Having that in the, anywhere in the game would be pertinent because it'd be kind of cool. Like, oh, your character failed out of Hogwarts. The game's not over, you're just a squib. Kind of take like a Mashal approach. But as I was kind of talking about the whole perspective of both anime and games, Mushoku Tensei, season 2, part 2 of season 2. I did not know that it was recently finished. And let me tell you, that anime has got a story to tell. And it's good at it. Like it's a solid story. I thoroughly have enjoyed that story. And I can't wait for season 3, which was announced. Hopefully they don't go off the rails. Like there's ways for anime and everything to go off the rails really quickly. And one of those things is fan service. Too much of it anyway.
The temple shall shine anew with the light.
And that's where I get lost. Like when people start doing like gratuitous fan service, I just kind of my brain just does not register it. It immediately tunes it out, and it's like, all right, too much fan service. I'm out. Doesn't matter how good the plotline is. So the Hogwarts Legacy video for Free Game Friday may be pushed back as far as Sunday, depending on when Epic stops having a store-based aneurysm. Which is hopefully soon, because I wanted to record that tonight, but... Ooh, wait. I have a Tal rune. I have an Eth rune. Yep. Tal Eth. I can make a stealth. Do I have a two-socketed... whatchamacallit? Don't get me wrong, I absolutely love the scale mail, because it gives me cannot be frozen. And that scale mail is not going anywhere, because when I go to fight Duriel in Act 2 Nightmare, I'm putting it back on. This blows. There's nothing. Oh, I'm trying to think about other topics that I could talk about relatively quickly. Oh, for those that enjoy Hearthstone, which I'm sure that's very few, because I like it, but they need to rotate the cards quicker. That's just my personal belief on that. I've been having some serious issues with cards that are not rotating yet, and I say choice words. I don't use those choice words here. And you're probably wondering, well, why doesn't he cuss? Why doesn't he cuss or anything? What's the point? What's the purpose? And it's like, there's a reason I don't. Because there's no reason to do it. There's not a valid reason to do it. It doesn't make you edgier. It doesn't make you sound smarter. It doesn't make your content more enjoyable and more watchable. I mean, I guess for some people it might, but for me, no. It kind of detracts away from the whole point and purpose of what you're doing. Now, I've dabbled in the ideas of not really a podcast, but more so picking a topic that is what I don't normally talk about on here, which is either like politics or something like that, and then talking about that one day. Like, pick a day out of the thing, or maybe even make a second channel about it. Kind of not really pointing at a specific creator or creators, because there's no point in that, but more so the whole politics behind the argument, etc. Or the whole, even the psychological ramifications behind certain things. Because there have been certain things that have happened that when you see how it gets adjudicated by the powers that be that run Twitch, or the powers that be that run Amazon or YouTube or any big name corporation, these corporations, now I'm not, to be fair here and to be perfectly above board 100%, I am not a communist. I'm not a communist lover. I'm not a communist. I am a free market capitalist, tried and true. And what we have is crony capitalism, effectively. So, if I was to ever get on a political standpoint or stumping for something, or if I'm railing against a corporation, it's because of usually a different set of factors rather than economic, right? I'm not sitting there saying that they're being greedy. There are some greedy corporations out there, but I never really jump to that as a conclusion first and foremost. The ramifications of certain corporations by having an inaction, specifically like Twitch, YouTube, Amazon, and yes, I do realize the folly of this. I'm on YouTube right now making a statement regarding the host, and the thing that I'm talking about is like the adjudication of certain things. So if something gets posted on YouTube and YouTube doesn't like it, and they adjudicate it and they say, well, nope, even if let's say it gets reported, right? And I know that a lot of the reports that go in are what causes the adjudication. 9 times out of 10, the adjudication is automated. This is a problem with automated adjudication, because anybody could say, oh, this violates this violates that. Does it really? Doesn't matter. Why? Because the automated adjudicator kicks in and goes, oh, we received X amount of reports over Y amount of time about Z content, therefore removed. And it will be reinstated when they remove the content. Their account would be reinstated, so on and so forth. The problem there is you have this adjudication, and what happens? This adjudication... I have to sneeze. Give me a second. Oof, that was bad. This adjudication takes place, and strikes are then laid down and everything. And then YouTube has to independently review it and walk it back sometimes. This is a bad thing because they're not actively taking a role in it. Now, what's the psychological ramifications of this? Okay, let's say you have an individual who records themselves doing something potentially dangerous. YouTube, because there's nothing in there that's gonna hurt someone's feelings, they didn't say any words that are gonna hurt people's feelings, YouTube doesn't take it down. Unless people report it for the potentially dangerous content. What's that tell other people? That for the time that the content is up and potentially dangerous, it really brings out the whole imitatable acts thing, right? Where impressionable people take a look at it and go, oh, I can make a following by doing the same thing. Now, where does this make, like, who is responsible if something tragic happens? Okay, let's take a look at this. Let's say creator A makes a piece of content that is potentially dangerous, but they have certain safeguards to help them from having it be potentially dangerous. Creator B goes out and tries the same thing, fails, and is either injured, whether it be mildly, permanently, or fatally. Who's to blame? And people would say, well, the creator B is to blame because creator B went and did something he knew was potentially dangerous, even though creator A said, don't try this at home. Okay, well, the creator B even heard the don't try this at home, but says, well, all right, I tried it at home, and we're at the FO part of the FAFO, but who then becomes to blame? Well, you can't blame creator A because he did technically put the disclaimer in there that says, disclaimer, I was with blah, 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 blah. Don't try this at home. I had professional help, so on and so forth. He has a disclaimer, so he's no longer technically the issue. And the creator B that got hurt would technically be to blame. But then, through that, wouldn't YouTube also be to blame based solely on the grounds that if they knew it was potentially harmful and they didn't do anything about it, and if somebody got harmed due to negligence, wouldn't that make them at least slightly culpable? The problem is you'd have to prove it. Well, you'd have to look at the day it was uploaded. How long did it exist? How many views did it get? How many likes did it get? And you'd have to drag out this whole metric before potential guilt or blame can be laid on any one person or persons. But not even just the physical ramifications. What about the psychological ramifications? What about the random endorphin hits that these people that are much younger than I, where you got high school kids that are watching this stuff and it's just completely obliterating their endorphin sense? Like, their levels of endorphins between this, between YouTube content, gacha games, and other things, TikTok videos specifically, because that's 6-second clips, which lowers the attention span. And you have people that are getting so fried out on dopamine hits, at, rapid dopamine hits, that they will end up becoming dependent upon it. And they will go into more of a thrill-seeking behavior because of it. I mean, nobody's really immune to the effects of dopamine, truthfully. I mean, the body will produce it, and once you start getting those dopamine hits, you'll become dependent upon it. This is the same exact formula they use to lock people into gambling. That's why the house will always throw 2 to 3 hands in poker. Or the slot machines are hardwired to give a win every so often. It's to create that dopamine rush so that you'll be more inspired to put more coins in it. I mean, there's people out there that are like me that it's like they look at a win and they go, okay, I won. And yeah, it's not exciting. It does not make for exciting YouTube content, right? I'm sure that I don't have people riveted in their seats watching, high skill plays. No. I have all the skill of a baked potato. Let's be real here. But what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to bring back substantive medium to long form content. Substantive content usually poses a question and gets people to think. The one thing that people have avoided doing for many years now. I want people to start doing it. And the reason I want people to start thinking is because once people start thinking, they'll start questioning. And once they start questioning, then can you truly get to the actual response that society needs to have to propel itself forward. Because, I mean, some of the greatest stuff back in the day used to ask, what if? They don't do that anymore. So trying to get substantive content on YouTube in a more of a long-form sense, while trying to be mildly entertaining and playing games at the same time, I figured it's a multi-pronged, somewhat psychological tactic. Hoping it works. Because I really want people to get back to thinking. Get back to, instead of reacting, they almost become pensive. Which a lot of people, like I was saying earlier, they don't like to become pensive. They tend to shy away from it. And the reason being is because there's been, much to the chagrin of everybody, I'm sure, well, not even chagrin, but much to most people's disbelief, there's been a war on intellect and, to the greater extent, thought. There's been a war on all of it for the longest time. Because they want people to just consume the media. If you just consume the media, don't ask too many questions, you'll get further ahead. That's what they want you to believe. And many people do. Many people just become absolute drone level mindless consumers. And it's sad. I wish they wouldn't. I wish they would actually think and question and not just consume. It's the other reason I did the whole free game Fridays. Or until this week when Epic Game Store decides it doesn't want to behave. Is because I think if people were able to get pieces of software for free, that they could get enjoyment out of things by being patient and waiting. Alright, we're going to try this. Ow. I'm getting there. Well, Laharis is dead. Ow. Nailed it.
The Lord of Hatred shall darken the world no longer.
I like to think I did a pretty good job there. Sacrifice is pretty strong. The time has come for you to destroy Diablo's Soulstone. Mephisto's Soulstone. 20L resistances, mana stolen per hit, open wounds. Like, realistically think about that. Open wounds. Kind of gross if you think about it. Guy gets gashed and is just sitting there. You can just look inside. Which, by the way, if you are one of those people that really, because I've known a few people that like this, they like watching surgeries and other things like that. If you're one of those people, there's a show actually called Trauma Life in the ER. Really solid show. You might actually want to look into it. Kind of cool.
I'll put that to good use.
Wow.
I'll put that to good use.
Hey, he's got more resistances. Very nice. That's it. Poison Lake reduced attack rating. Are you serious? That's all? Oh, okay. I mean, oh, that's ethereal, that's why. I mean, I might just put this on for myself. Shadow Disciplines, Assassin only. Not bad. I mean, if you're going Shadow Disciplines, it's really good. I mean, to be fair, it does make my Paladin look like a complete tool. Like, seriously, look at my paladin. He looks like a goofball. Matter of fact, I will actually save and exit Melquad so you can see him. He looks like a goofball. Look at that. Like, he looks like he's Spartacus. But he got, like, the wrong Caesar crown. It's too big. He's a goofball. Anyway, that's going to do it for this video. I did make it through Act 3. He's at 24. We're going to try to plow through Act 4 soon-ish. Next week and a half. I will be making content all the way up through Christmas, all the way into the new year, everything like that. Now, I'm not one of those people that sits there and says, happy holidays, right? I'm what you would call I take the James Rolfe approach. When I tell people things like Merry Christmas, it just lets everybody know, hey, that's what I celebrate. And that's the approach I take. A lot of other people don't. They get offended. Well, apparently everybody gets offended at everything these days. Not me. I'm too old for that. But people really need to start looking into the psychological ramifications of things that go undone or get done. So, like, if a corporation punishes somebody for one thing but doesn't punish somebody else for the same thing, now you're sending mixed messages. Why? Why is it one got punished but the other did not? Same exact thing. Like, I can't even think of an actual reason, or an actual event that had this, but think about it. Let's say you're doing something, making a form of content. You say something or do something that the company that you're streaming on or recording to does not like. So they punish you. Somebody else does the exact same thing. They get no punishment. Now, what's that tell the audience of the one that did not get punished? What's that tell the audience of the one that did get punished? What's that tell the one that got punished? Mentally, it starts weighing on these people. Why? Because they want answers, and they never get answers. And there's no level adjudicating field that says, well, if you do this, that's the red line in the sand. Don't do that. There's a line in the sand, but it gets redrawn every day. You can't do that. That's what causes problems. So, you have to find somewhere where you can have that line in the sand and then have it physically adjudicated by people and not automatically adjudicated by robots. So once you start doing automatic adjudication, it's when you fall off a cliff, effectively, in ratings and in usage, because you're like, take a look at Blizzard. Yes, I know this is a Blizzard product, but take a look at World of Warcraft specifically lately. Again, I quit playing. I have not touched it since. I have not resubbed. I have not played my account. It is frozen. It is still frozen, and it will stay frozen. However, you take a look at what they've done recently. Their metrics have basically taken a swan dive off a cliff. Like, people are not happy with certain things that they do, and it's all because this person's allowed to get away with it, but that person's not. Why? And whenever anybody does that and they have arbitrary rules for some people and arbitrary rules for others, people realize that, and then they kind of back away from it and go, well, if the game's rules are going to constantly change every day based on the player, based on the player's proclivities, we're done. And they walk away. You're just going to end up hurting your own metrics in the end there. Just don't do that. That having said that, a lot of companies fail to learn that lesson too late. And when they finally do learn that lesson, it's too late. I mean, I think it would do well to have companies actually focus on putting more heart and soul in games. But I also think it would do well to have a company have a psychologist on board that sits there and goes, okay, if you were to do this, what would the ramifications of this be to a player's psychological leanings? Not so much mental health, but like, is it going to make them question things? Like, why me, but why not them? Right? Because believe me, I've had questions like that before. Like, why was I singled out? Because I've been banned off forums, I've been banned off games, and I was like, well, why did I get singled out? And then I get the email, and the reason they give was not the thing I was guilty of. Like, for example, I was banned off the Blizzard forums because they said I was impersonating a Blizzard employee. But I wasn't. I made a joke that a specific individual who used to work at Blizzard, who no longer works at Blizzard, didn't like. And then when I got unbanned, mind you, their ban system for the forums started out with a 2 or 3 hour ban, then a 24-hour ban, then a 3-day ban, then a 1 week ban, then permanent for the forums. Something like that. There might have been a 1 month ban too. They skipped past the first two. They skipped past a 3-hour ban and a 24-hour ban, and they gave me a 3-day ban. And this is the post I wrote. I'll tell you right now. This was back in World of Warcraft, back in Vanilla, when it first came out. Ghostcrawler, the then community manager for Warriors, was saying that he wanted to do that he was trying to do everything he could to make Warriors a better class. So for 2 solid weeks, I did nothing but grill him on the forums because he played a Frost Mage. And he's the community manager for a Warrior. That's like leaving a wolf in charge of the hen house. For those that didn't play the game, Frost Mages absolutely demolished Warriors of all stripes. Didn't matter. So, I was doing nothing but just grilling Ghostcrawler for 2 solid weeks. And he said something on one of the posts. I said, look, not only did Ghostcrawler throw us under the bus, but he told Sarek to back up. Sarek was the previous community manager for Warriors. So, that was saying Sarek was still driving the bus, Ghostcrawler threw us under and told Sarek to back up and run us over again. Yeah. And that came in response to a nerf that happened to Warriors. They skipped the first 2 ban phases, went right to a 3-day ban on the forums. For me. I waited patiently for 3 days. Played other games. Played the game. Did other things. Lived my life. This was back when I was just out of high school. And then I came back to the forums. And I put up a post that said, I'm back. I put up there, so I just got off of a 3-day ban. Let me show you what I got banned for. And I put up there the actual clip that was in my email with everything else deleted. There it was. And I said, that's what I got banned for. They said I was impersonating a Blizzard employee. Where exactly was I impersonating a Blizzard employee? And I wasn't. And then about 3 days after that, Ghostcrawler's like, well, I'm no longer going to be posting in the Warrior community forums. I am going to be reading them when and if I have the time. So you're no longer going to become an active member posting. Because you let one guy beat you in a game of essentially philosophical top trumps. Yikes. Then, he went on to leave Blizzard, and he went to Riot Games. Before he made it into Riot Games, I went to the Riot Games forums, and I posted a picture of the Titanic. I said Riot Games before Ghostcrawler's arrival. Then I posted a picture of the Titanic sinking, and I said Riot Games after Ghostcrawler's arrival. By the way, I wasn't wrong. The quality of League of Legends went down. The quality of everything else they were doing at the time went down. And then Ghostcrawler left. And now the quality's coming back up. Now, I don't play League anymore. Haven't for a long time. But it's the point of... he came into this place and then effectively ruined it and then left. Now he made his own now he's made his own video game in his own studio. Now he doesn't know who I am on Twitter. But I reached out and I said, I'd love to test your game and I would give constructive criticisms and feedback. I give great feedback, especially to him. Anyhow, I hope you enjoyed this video. I know I did. I was hoping that I could get the thing done with Epic Games, but it's apparently still having fits. I tried it just before starting this video. Stay tuned, because like I said, this one's going to go up after the next video I make, chronologically. Chronologically, I recorded this one first, but this one's going to go up on Saturday, and then the next video I record is going up for Friday, because, well, I'm going to check the Epic Store, but it'll probably go up for Friday, because the Epic Store seems to be having problems. But anyway, I hope everybody has a fantastic evening, a wonderful tomorrow. I noticed my camera did not cut out once because I have it plugged into the Anchor. That's adorable, and I love it. It's great. If you do not have an Anchor-powered hub, get one for USB. It's wonderful. And as always, have a good one.